Amber alert, do not look at the moon, but I looked anyway. It was the worst decision of my life. It wasn't my phone that woke me up, but my wife. Honey! I came awake to a rough shake accompanying the words. Yeah, I said half asleep. Your phone. Somebody is blowing you up. Must be one of my side chicks, I replied. Sure it is. She rolled her eyes, already well on her way back to sleep. I checked the bedside clock, the red LED showing 3 a.m. on the dot. Weird. I leaned awkwardly, half awake, and grabbed my phone, and had to do a double take when I saw the notifications. 186 texts, 93 missed calls, and 1 Amber alert. What the actual fuck? I thought, okay, this is a dream. Must be a dream. I don't even know 186 people. Must be a natural disaster on the way. Or did Kim Jong-un launch nukes at the West Coast? I read the Amber alert, expecting the worst. I held my breath. Do not look at the moon. Wait, what? The feeling of surreal vertigo intensified. The logical part of my brain was continuing to insist that this must be a dream. Must be a dream. Must be. Shut up, I whispered to myself, climbing out of bed. I was awake now, fully, rigidly awake, and so I decided to take my phone to the living room to investigate further. Plopping down on the couch, I started scrolling through texts. None of them were from numbers I recognized. Some of them, not even from phone numbers. Entries from numbers with only 2 or 3 digits on them. Entries with letters and numbers and Chinese characters mixed in. Some with emojis and symbols mixed in. I clicked the first message. Wow, look at the moon. It's so big and beautiful. Amazing, isn't it? Okay, it's not a dream. It's a practical joke. Someone is messing with me, with my phone. I wonder if my wife is in on this. I clicked the next text. It's such a beautiful night tonight. Just look. The moon looks amazing. It's so big. My wife abruptly interrupted me and said, look at the moon. Wow, it looks so cool. Look, honey. Something about the honey sent a chill up my spine. My wife, shaking me awake, popped back into my mind. She must be playing a sick prank on me. I continued reading the texts and realized that I could hear a voice speaking the words, quietly, like they were coming from very far away, repeating, looping over each other, blurring, speeding up, slowing down, and warping all at the same time. After reading dozens of variations of the same text message, I set my phone face down on the couch. Some still logical functionality commanded me to turn on the TV, turn on the news. Yes, normalcy, emergency broadcast system. Yes, that's a good idea. I turned it on. It's 3 a.m. Surely more than a minute has passed, but it said 3 a.m. right there in the corner of the screen. And even though it's the middle of the night, there's the newscaster, and he's staring at me. I swear he's looking right at me. And suddenly turning on the news seems like it was a really bad idea. West Coast residents are being warned tonight not to look at the moon. Authorities are warning that looking at the moon might destroy your life and could unravel the very fabric of reality. Ben, do not look at the moon. What the fuck? My name is Ben. How is he speaking to me directly? I pressed the power button again on the remote and the TV shut off, heart trying to thud its way out of my chest. I stood and walked back towards my bedroom. Somehow, I knew before I opened the door that my wife would be awake, and she was. She was sitting up, her face lit by her phone screen. I shouldn't have told you to look at the moon, honey. I'm sorry. Wait, what? Are you in on this too? What is going on? She looked down and started crying. I'm sorry, honey. I'm so sorry. I rushed over and sat down hard on the bed, right in front of her. Sorry for what? I demanded, panic seizing control of me as I grabbed her shoulders. What the fuck is going on? She stopped crying and smiled. Her eyes were far away, almost robotic. Oh wow, she said. Wow, honey, it's such a beautiful night tonight. Just look at the moon. I let go of her shoulders and stood up. I walked calmly out of the room, out through the living room to the hall to the back door. I threw it open, feeling like my arms and legs were moving on their own, like I was merely a passenger. I stepped out into my backyard. I tilted my head to the sky and I looked at the moon, and then I remembered. God help me, I remembered. Driving along the highway, coming home from a long night. My wife was tired. Dried sweat had warped her perfect hairdo, but she still looked radiant, face lit by the dash lights, and of course, by the moon. She had sung her heart out tonight, and the crowd had eaten it up. She was a bright, shining star tonight, hanging out there, seeming mere inches from the horizon, the big, swollen, full face of the moon, just about to set. Oh wow, she said. Wow, honey, it's such a beautiful night tonight. Just look at the moon. And I did. I took my eyes off the road, and I did. She was right, of course. It was beautiful, I said, and then I heard an awful sound, like a loud pop, and we were upside down, flying, weightless, like somehow we had been pulled by the moon into space. The car was full of weird things floating through the air, coins, a pen cap. Her mic had even floated in from the back into the front. I had one last look at her face. It was still transitioning from the marvel at the beauty of the moon to the shock of the crash. I tried to reach out my hand, but I seemed to be moving through jello. The moon filled the windshield, seemed to get even bigger, brighter, turned the sky white, turned the whole world white. And you know the rest of the story, I said when I had regained my composure. I came out of the coma and I woke up here. The police officer stared at me, and I could tell she was struggling to keep her face impassive. She felt bad for me, but she didn't want to. I'm sorry for your loss, she said, looking down at her notepad. She hadn't taken down a single word of it. Can you tell me how much you'd had to drink that night? No, I answered. I don't think I can. She nodded. You're going to need a lawyer when you're ready to get out of here. I looked down at my broken body, just a mess of tubes and casts. Yeah, was all I could muster. She stood and walked toward the door of my hospital room. She put her hand on the door, and without turning, she asked, do you think if you'd obeyed the warning, you'd still be in the coma? Yes, I said quietly. Yes, I do.